Today's video is going to be on the #1 reason amateur golfers don't hole enough putts, the start line. Make sure you check this video out. That looks good. That looks really good. There's a break. That looks good. That looks really good. Jon Watts here from the TruGolf Academy. You've joined me on the putting green. As I mentioned there in the intro, today's video is going to be a really simple putting tip, but it's the #1 reason golfers just don't hole enough putts. They don't allow enough break, and I'm just going to go into that and talk about how the pace controls it as well. And I've got for you a great drill that I'd encourage you to all do, whether you're at home on the living room carpet or you get a chance to get to a putting green. If you're new to my channel and you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. Check out my other content on my channel. If you hit the little bell icon on the subscribe area here, it just notifies you every time a new video goes live, 2 to 3 instructional videos a week, and the info for my social media coming along the bottom of the screen. So golfers just, for me, they don't allow enough break. I hear too many times, oh, there's not a lot of break in this, or when they're struggling to see it, they just, oh, it's straight, it must be straight. And they just generally don't allow enough break. They really don't allow enough break. I get told, here at Branston, oh, the greens are pretty flat, I can hit them straight. Well, you can't. Yes, it is a relatively flat course, but there's still breaks, still slopes. I think the stat is 95% of putts have one style of break or more in it. So very few putts, I should say, are straight. There is break, there is curve, and what I want you to do in terms of a training drill is use a string line. Now I've got something a little bit flashy here, an aimpoint swinky, where the green part is the width of the hole, and I've got how many inches to the left or how many inches to the right. But simply just using 2 tent pegs and a bit of string, and I'd leave it in your golf bag, is the best exercise you can do. You want to see, can you start the ball on line, on left to right putts that I've got here, right to left, uphill, downhill, etc. And then you can start to see where you're allowing enough breaks. So I've hit 1 or 2, I have cheated. I've hit 1 or 2 putts here, having aim pointed it first, so I'm feeling where the pressure is. And I'm allowing 7.5 inches of break. And that's more than, I get golfers, they'd go, oh yeah, it's left to right, I can see that, but they'll only allow perhaps 2 inches. They're normally under-reading it by 2 to 3 times the amount. So they're really not allowing enough break, and then they have to compensate with speed. Let me just go ahead and hit one at, I think, is the right pace. So if it's missing it sort of 12 inches, a foot past the hole, and my objective here is to start the ball on line. If I can do that, I'm controlling the face, and that is the biggest thing with putting. So started just left of my line with a little bit too much pace. So let's try and hit that just a little less speed. That's about 2 feet past the hole. So a little less speed than that, and we'll see a bit more break. Let's give it one more go. That's a better pace. Good pace. I think it just, if I'm being picky, started a fraction right of my start line. It's quite a tough putt here. You can see that just bled across the hole. Much better pace, missed just on the low side. So at 2, well, it's probably even 2.5 foot past the hole, I'd have to be aiming close to perhaps 3 to 4 inches to the left of the hole. At dead weight, it's even wider than my 7.5 inches. I'd have to be out there up to sort of 10. So I've got quite a range here of where I could hit that putt. It could be anywhere from 4 inches outside the left up to 10 inches, depending if I'm dribbling the ball into the hole or actually being quite aggressive. So you first of all got to judge what pace do you want to hit that ball at. An uphill putt, slower greens, you may be more aggressive. A match play situation, you may be more aggressive. Quick downhill medal play, that kind of thing, you're not going to be trying to, I hope, charge the ball at the hole. So we've got a range that we can play with here, almost, as I said, from 4 inches quite aggressive to 10 inches dead weight. So let me just go ahead and see if I can demonstrate that. So I'm going to go for the firmer one first of all, a lot less break, which means I've got to be pretty positive with this putt and run the risk of running it obviously 3-4 foot past. So I wouldn't really be doing that a great deal, but it might be if it's a match play and it's a putt to halve the hole or something on those lines, or a Stapleford where it's for 1 point, you're going to be a little bit more aggressive. So Less brake, I need a bit more pace. It did. It did. With these shallow cups that we've got at the moment because of COVID, it possibly wouldn't have gone in anyway. Hit the lip there, quite aggressive, but with a deeper cup it might have fallen in. But you can see it hit the hole. That was at 4 inches. It's not a putt I feel comfortable hitting at that pace. And let's try and hit one really at dead weight and go almost out to that 10-inch point there, just to show you, you know, the massive difference depending on the pace we're trying to hit it. And this is a great drill for you. Find the speed you're comfortable at, find the line, try different putts, but using a string line, great exercise for green reading, great exercise for start line, which is all controlling that face. So nothing technical in this video. It is all about you experimenting a little bit. So I've got to hit this at dead weight. It's a slow, slow putt. I started it just a touch too far left, but you can actually see from my GoPro there, it's finished almost directly behind the hole. So that ball did curve more than 10 inches actually, but just by the time it got past the hole. So I struggle a little bit more with left to right putts than I do with right to left. And that's true, I've hit that too hard. That's true for most right-handed golfers. They tend to prefer right to left putts. Left-handers prefer left to right. So dead weight, start it on line, 10 inches of break. That looks good. That looks really good. Perfect, I got one eventually. And so dead weight, last breath, fell into the hole, started on line, 10 inches outside the left. So I've hit, you know, one there that's hit the hole at 4 inches with a lot of pace, one that's allowed 10 inches at dead weight. We've got to understand what speed we want to hit at first. I still think my initial read for me was about right at 7.5 inches. You can obviously see that somewhere between the two, allowing that ball to roll around 12 inches, a foot past the hole. So understand what speed you want to hit it. And that may depend whether you're uphill, downhill, how quick the greens are, how aggressive a putter style you're trying to be because of the situation. And then you can start to understand break, because there is a gap. You know, some players will read it a little bit more than others, but the majority of amateur golfers underread putts. They just don't allow anywhere near enough. So I think aimpoint have the rule that amateur golfers underread by 2 to 3 times the amount. And that sounds a lot, but actually the more I see amateur golfers in lessons, the more I play with them in programs, the more I kind of think, yeah, I get that. I think it's at least that kind of number. You know, they understand it's left to right, but they're allowing a couple of inches, nowhere near that 10 inches perhaps that we're having to hit it there at dead weight. So do some string line exercise. You don't need something as flashy as this. 2 tent pegs, bit of string, such a good drill. Can you start the ball on line, and then when you get on the putting green, can you actually read the green correctly? If you're under-reading it, start allowing more and more, and you'll soon start getting the feeling of how much break you're going to get. I've got a 10-foot putt here, and I can start to assess that to how much weight was on my low foot, which is the aimpoint style here. So I can start to get an idea on how much break, how much weight I'm feeling on one foot or another. So it's a great drill, and I know it's going to improve your putting just with a little bit of practice time. As I mentioned at the start, if you enjoyed the content, if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up, share with as many golfers as you can, and please consider subscribing.